Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel. Everyone, Triple L, Lanny, Bertha Hurt over here, the Dividend Diplomats. Everyone, guess what? We are excited. We are amped up. We are going to talk to you about a dividend stock yielding over 8%. That is down nearly 5%.
Now, before we dive into this dividend growth stock analysis, smash that subscribe button. We're on our way to 12,000 subscribers because we're trying to reach the millions and millions of dividend investors out there trying to find dividend stocks to buy right now and add to their passive income total. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that thumb, turn that mother sucker blue so we can keep bringing you more videos.
Yeah, and this stock is very exciting because we are always on the lookout for undervalued dividend growth stocks to buy to help us grow that income and reach financial freedom. So you bet when there's a stock that's been down 5% over the last 52 weeks, when the market is doing what, Lanny?
Way up over the last 52 weeks, setting record highs almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah, you bet we're going to be excited when we see a stock that's going in one direction and the market's going in the other. It's time for us to analyze that company compared to its peers to see how it performs.
So these are three high yielding dividend growth stocks with the focal point on a dividend stock that you, the viewers, commenters, everybody on Twitter has been wanting us to dive into. It's a little bit of a taboo area.
Sin stock, I believe, is what they call it. Yeah, but we both own the two competitors in this company in our portfolio, so we're not opposed to owning sin stocks, but we know there are a lot of people out there too. So if you don't like sin stocks, it probably isn't going to be the one for you.
Probably should go to reconciliation and cleanse yourself.
That's exactly right. Lanny, so what company are we talking about?
Tesla.
Oh, no. British Tobacco. BTI.
BTI, British Tobacco, the high yielding, high profiling, reeling, dealing, girl stealing, woo! Dividend stock to buy right now.
Yeah. So, as we said, the tobacco sector is obviously a sin stock, but it is also known for high dividend yields too. Companies are going to have higher payout ratios. They're going to have strong cash flow.
You need that cash flow.
Yeah, so that's why every dividend investor has typically looked at a company in the sector to own in their portfolio or one like it because it offers you that nice, juicy dividend yield. So what are we going to do in this video today? We're going to take a look at British Tobacco's current metrics, running them through the Dividend Diplomats Dividend Stock Screener, which focuses on not one, not two, but three metrics and a bonus metric. Lanny, what are the metrics?
We got the price to earnings ratio, preferably less than the S&P 500, but we'll look at a couple competitors in this dividend stock video to see how British Tobacco stacks up. Number two, that dividend payout ratio. Bert's perfect payout ratio is 40 to 60%. And this really shows you the safety in the dividend and can it continue to increase that dividend because dividend growth investors want that growth, which is the third dividend stock metric, dividend growth. The history and the rate that you grow that dividend payout. You can see it right there from Bert in that bonus metric, that dividend yield. How much is this dividend stock going to pay you today?
So we're going to use the prices as of Friday, November 12th. We're going to talk about British Tobacco's metrics, and then we're going to compare them to their competitors, Philip Morris, ticker symbol PM, and Altria Group, ticker symbol MO. And then we're also going to talk about how that compares to the market if it's applicable.
British Tobacco stock. Obviously, we don't have to tell you what they're involved in. They're involved in tobacco, smokeless tobacco, you name it. I know Bert holds Lucky Strike near and dear to his heart.
I was a King of the Hill fan, so that was...
Weren't you a Mad Men guy too?
I was, yeah, so all of them in there. It's
yeah.
That's about my connection to them, but they also own Camel, they also own Newport, they have Grizzly too for the smokeless tobacco. They're obviously in, as we're pulling up here, the tobacco list products too with Views, some of the vaping pieces. So they're diversifying, they're moving to where the tobacco companies need to go to. So they're not behind, they're at least thinking about today and tomorrow.
Yep, again, a big cash flow entity. They do very well without a pandemic, but they do very well during a pandemic, during financial crisis, because sadly, a lot of people do resort to products such as this during bad and good times That's obviously what makes them a sin stock because of the potential detriment that it does to your health.
Yeah, so all right, everyone, let's jump right into the stock screener here. Let's move into metric number 1, the price to earnings ratio.
So, Bert, how are we going to do this? Are we going to do one stock, or are we going to just line them up all three across each?
We're going to talk about BTI first, and then we'll compare them to the other two.
All right, let's do it.
That because we want to keep BTI as the focus of this video.
Let's do it.
So their price, $35.26. Average forward earnings, which wasn't the easiest to hunt down for BTI, but we found it on Seeking Alpha, was $4.76. That gives you a PE ratio of 7.41 compared to the market, which is in the high 20s now.
That's pretty impressive. BTI PE ratio below 8.
That's what I'm seeing.
Wow. Dive into Philip Morris, ticker symbol PM. Analysts are expecting $6.08. Now, the current share price is $94.76 because they're up almost 20% year to date. So that P ratio is more than double BTI at 15.59.
Yeah, Altria's price $44.91, EPS $4.85. That gives you a PE ratio of 9.26. So
BTI.
Yeah, BTI compared to the market cheaper significantly, but compared to their competitors, BTI is a heavy discount.
Is BTI the lucky strike out of the 3?
Moving into the payout ratio, metric number 2 here, annual dividend. BTI, again, it's always slightly off there because it's an international company. We're seeing $2.98. Some sites will say $2.96. It's in that ish range, so we're going to give it there. Their payout ratio is 62.61%, so just a hair above the metric that we use.
Wow. Which, when you bring in Philip Morris, who pays $5 in dividends per year, that equates to a payout ratio of much higher than BTI at 82%.
And Altria, $3.60 annual dividend. Their payout ratio is 74.23%. So BTI, again, the better metric here.
BTI is saying GTFO. So going into the third metric, that dividend growth rate for BTI, again, hard to look at, but technically, based on everything, I think they're about a 6% dividend growth rate average.
Yeah, and they're trending in the right direction of their dividend increasing. Again, because it's international, the dividend shows slight changing here. Difficult to see. They also changed from being a semi-annual dividend payer to a quarterly dividend payer recently. So there's no one site. A dividend investor, it's a little bit off just seeing how it's increasing, but just know, while we can't pin an exact number of years of how many consecutive years they've increased their dividend, that dividend is trending upwards.
It's trending up. Is Philip Morris trending up? Well, they have 12 years of consecutive increases for Philip Morris. Again, ticker symbol PM. Growth rate's a little low at 3.42%, Bert.
Yeah, that's been Philip Morris's MO recently of low dividend growth, but hey-o. But yeah, no, they at least announced a pretty nice dividend increase. What, they went from $1.20 to $1.25 in their course. So right in line with their average. Hey, that was better than some of the previous years.
It might pay for an extra pack of cigarettes.
I don't even know if it would. It depends on how many shares you own. But all right. And Altria Group, they had 8.69% 5-year dividend growth rate in 11 years. But weren't they too, when Philip Morris and Altria were a combined entity before they split off, right around when 11, 12 years ago, their dividend was increasing as well. So they had a long history of increasing their dividend. The separate entities are just showing it differently.
It's just showing it separately. And, you know, Altria, ticker symbol, continues to grow at a pretty high clip, which is interesting once we get into the dividend yield. But as of right now, MO has the best dividend growth rate.
Interesting. So now let's look at the dividend yields here. BTI, 8.45%. Philip Morris, after their recent price appreciation, their dividend yield is only 5.28%.
And then Altria MO coming in pretty close to BTI at an 8% dividend yield for Altria. So what does this mean? For every $100 you own of MO, you'll get $8. You'll get $8.45 with BTI, and you'll get a nice $5.28 with Philip Morris.
So before we do the recap, let's see how the three stocks have performed during the year. BTI is down 6.47 year to date, down 4.70% over the last 52 weeks.
Nice.
How's that compare to Philip Morris?
Philip Morris is up again, year to date over 16%, and then over the last 52 weeks, they're up almost 25%.
Yeah, Altria's right in the middle of them. They're up 9.99% year to date, and 11.38% over the last 52 weeks.
So there you have it. Those are the 3 dividend stocks. To summarize, British Tobacco, BTI, has a P/E ratio below 8, a dividend payout ratio just above 60%. Their dividend growth rate is over 6%, and then that dividend yield is almost 8.5%.
Philip Morris P/E ratio 15.59, payout ratio 82%, 5-year DGR 3.42%, increase that dividend for 12 years, and a 5.28% yield.
Lastly, Altria, MO, P/E ratio just above 9, dividend payout ratio just below 75%. That dividend growth rate well over 8% on average, and then that current dividend yield 8%.
This is interesting. Looking through the metrics, clearly BTI has looking like the most undervalued in our thing, and the metrics are screaming and performing very well in our stock screener for obvious reasons. They're lagging the market too. They're lagging their 2 competitors.
They are.
And they have the highest yield. So it's an interesting
the dogs of the tobacco.
Yeah, and I see why everybody wants us to take a look at BTI compared to everything else, because the metrics warrant it to be considered an undervalued stock.
And what's interesting is that the dividend yield is the highest, but yet their payout ratio is the lowest.
Yeah, it's just not what you'd expect. So.
No, usually you don't get that. I was expecting a much higher dividend payout ratio with the yield you get with British Tobacco.
Yeah, and Altria is a nice second here, I'd say, if I'm ranking the 3 of them. Also, for like checking off each one of the metrics, payout ratio is a little higher, but at least you're getting a nice 8% yield there too, compared to BTI, which is why I would personally put Philip Morris in 3rd, because as you're going through the metrics, they have the highest of the payout ratio, and their dividend yield is only 5%. That's kind of the trend you were wanting to avoid.
Right. So here we are. 3 dividend stocks, and we're here to determine if BTI or British Tobacco is a dividend stock to buy right now. Are you, as an investor, wanting to put money, your hard dollars, and invest in BTI? Bert, what's your hot take?
I think they earn a spot on the watch list. Because you know what, the metrics warrant me to consider looking at them. If their price continues to fall, I mean, if it comes down to below 33 and their yield just continues jumping up, maybe if their yield crosses 9%, why would I not look at BTI to add a small and start building a position?
Yeah, you don't have to go balls to the wall. You don't have to go all in, but if you want a place where it's going to grow, plus you're getting a huge yield. I mean, let's not kid around with this. It's 8.5%. Obviously, long-term high yields sometimes are just not sustainable, and we've seen this happen quite a few times with dividend stocks that are yielding in this territory where there's either some sort of reduction or dividend growth really slows.
And that's why you keep an eye on the dividend payout ratio there too. That is exactly the point of that metric, to see how safe that high dividend yield is.
So Bert, are you keeping an eye on them?
Yeah, they're on my watch list. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'd like to look at BTI a little bit, maybe I own a lot of Philip Morris, and I need to see what the overall concentration I have in that area.
Yeah, so everyone let us know in the comment section what you think of BTI, how it compares to the other 2, and which one are you buying, or are you avoiding these sin stocks altogether? And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and check out our store too to see if you want a Dividend Diplomats coffee mug.
Thanks again for stopping by. That was another dividend stock analysis from Bert and Lanny, the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.